every one of your governors who shut down your state are still collecting a paycheck. They are still getting paid. They don't understand the effects that everyone else is going through. They might say that they do, but I guarantee you they don't know what it's like to miss a meal. 2 weeks ago, I made a video about food shortages taking place in this country. And 2 weeks ago, most people didn't believe that video. Many people in the comment section said it wouldn't happen. Based off of a couple of points that I made. One of those points that I had made was talking about these meatpacking plants after they had shut down, what they would be doing, which was destroying livestock, destroying their livestock, the livestock surrounding them. The farmers who send that meat to them would be destroying their livestock, and many people didn't think that that would actually take place. They thought I was making that up. Fast forward 2 weeks now, we are seeing it by the dump truck load. We are seeing pigs being stacked because they've got nowhere to go. Nobody is going to feed pigs when they do not have a destination. Nobody can afford to feed pigs on that scale when they do not have a destination to go to. We are seeing chickens being butchered by the millions in this country and just left for dead. This is the beast that we have created in this country. This is the cycle that we have created. And people sat back and told me, no, farmers will just give those to people who are hungry when that time comes. They'll just give that up to the people. Guys, we're not talking about the farmer down the road. We're not talking about the rancher down the road. That is not who feeds us in this country. The people who feed us in this country is a mass scale, a huge scale. And those little independent farms and ranchers that we have, those guys add to the mix. They help to fill those voids, to fill those gaps in our food system. We are reliant on big government facilities to feed us, to produce our food. And when there's a small hiccup, it leads to the deaths of millions of animals. And why? Why do they do that? They do that because it creates this bottleneck effect of supply and demand. They are not going to produce gallons of milk that only cost you 25 cents. They are not going to make pork that is just cheap and easy to stack inside your freezer carts at a time. That is not the way that we operate. That is not the way that it'll keep these large packing plants going. So what they have to do is recreate the supply and demand, which means they kill off the supply to recreate the demand. So right now we are seeing that people, A, don't have the money to go out and buy pork, beef, chicken. They don't have the money for it at the rate that these packing plants, at the rate that the retailers need to sell it at. People are changing the way that they eat. We are not going out and eating in restaurants. One, because restaurants are closed down, and two, because no one's getting paychecks. And when you don't get paychecks, you don't eat out every day. You have to change the way you eat. And so we are not eating steak and chicken every day. We are eating a little more beans and rice. So by changing up our diet, we are changing the supply chain. COVID-19 is changing the supply chain, and it's not necessarily the disease that's doing it. It's the effects of this virus. It's the way we are shutting it down. And by we, I mean it's the way that we are allowing our governors to shut down our areas of business. We are letting them crash the economy while they collect paychecks. We are letting them starve families while they collect paychecks, while they decide who is essential and who is non-essential. So there's a root cause to this, guys. There's a big issue, and the fact is we have put ourselves on our knees, and we have been on our knees as far as farming and ranching goes in this country. We have been put on our knees years ago. These small farmers and the small ranchers have been getting pushed out for years. For years. Their taxes get raised. Their land payments become so astronomical that when there's a hiccup in a year's supply, they can't make their payments anymore. And that forces them to go to the bank and take money from the bank. That puts us on our knees. Anytime you take money from the bank, you are being put on your knees. And the issue of culture in this country, where we don't care about the farmer and we don't care about the rancher, we don't care about those people who are producing our food, we will accept Hot Pockets. We will accept all of the crap, all of the ingredients, all of the food that is produced. Half that shit isn't even food. It's disgusting what goes into our food, and we accept it on a mass scale because it is cheap. And it allows us to go about our lives spending cheap and buying crap and things that we don't really need. Because of the culture in this country, we are literally burying ourselves. We are digging our own graves. Currently, right now, this situation that we are seeing, we are reaping what we sow. And here's what's going to happen. On a mass scale, you are going to see farms and ranches shut down by this. There will be people who cannot make it through this. Ranches and farms are a year-to-year business. They cannot take year after year of bad crops or no crops. They can't do it. It's not the way it's designed. Where's that money coming from? They don't make enough to store away a bunch of money to keep themselves afloat. It is such a sensitive business. And now, because we put ourselves on our knees with our government reliance and control of this industry, we are reaping what we sow. There is going to be a disruption in the food supply. We are already seeing it. People are buying more and more stuff. The shelves are still empty at stores. The things are still being bought at an alarming rate. Toilet paper is still hit and miss at stores, guys. People are preparing for things to get much worse because they're going to. Things are going to become much worse. People are buying bulk foods. When you go into the canned food aisle here locally, it's slim pickings because people know that it's coming. So now everyone's grabbing a little more and a little more and a little more. This is going to become our way of life for a while. It is going to be hard to source food for a little while, and that food is not going to get produced for a little while, which means we are going to have to rely on what we have. And if you haven't put up food, you are going to be in a very bad position in this country. So all of these little farms, not these big farms, not these big packing plants, this is going to have a significant toll on the mass populace. People are going to go without meat for a while. For those of us who live in agricultural areas or know farmers and people that have farms, there are going to be people who need to get rid of cows. There are going to be people who can sell you pork, who can sell you chickens on a small scale. I suggest that you start supporting your local farms. Go talk to your local rancher, because when that beef packing plant tells this rancher that he is not going to be able to offload his cows, someone needs to buy those cows before they get euthanized and just left in a field. Because that is what's going to happen. We cannot afford to feed animals if somebody is not going to buy them. You don't just get to hang on to that animal longer and longer and longer and then sell it later. These animals get eaten at a certain time. They get eaten at a certain weight. There's a process to all of this. Go make friends with your local farmer. Go make friends with your local rancher. Because if they go under as well, we are in a world of shit in this country, because that means that the only people who will be able to survive this moment in time, and this will go down in history forever as the time that destroyed, just killed small farming and small ranching in America. And the only people who will survive this is the government farms, the government facilities, because they will take money from us. They will pay themselves to stay in business. And if you want to become a farmer or a rancher after they have taken your land, you need to figure out how to come up with enough money to buy land to restart the operation. Guys, many of these ranchers are multiple generation farmers. It is a ton of money to build the infrastructure to become a rancher and a farmer. Most farming, ranching in the first year or in their first cycle of life is building. It is building infrastructure. It is putting money into this. I'm building this farm not with profit in mind. I'm building this farm to give my kids something so that they are able to run a farm. They are not creating more land. And as more and more people happen into this earth, they are trying to create more and more space for these people to live. We've seen it here locally where they're taking farm and ag land and they're turning it into housing developments because they do not give a shit about the sustainability of farm and ag land because they have not the foresight to look down the road. These people are the problem in government. These people who sell it out thinking that the food in the store is always going to be there. I was talking about this shit a year ago when these guys were talking about coming in here, our ag land here that we live in, and they wanted to turn this section into residential. And I told them, are you guys even paying attention to how much ag land you're getting rid of? And they said no. Nobody's keeping track of it. Guys, your own government is selling you out. Your own neighbors will sell you out. They are selling you out for a paycheck because their fat asses thought Hot Pockets will always be in the store. Guess who's about to get real hurt by a food chain supply interruption? These guys. These guys who thought that their cushy lifestyle of being able to just go to the store and buy the food that they need, they are about to get a rude awakening. And hopefully this is what changes the mindset in this country, where we actually start to value and support farms and ranches. And we stop letting the government come in and ruin everything. The government has shut down the economy in this country. And the government will ruin the livelihoods of millions of people. Why? Because they keep themselves running. Every one of your governors who shut down your state are still collecting a paycheck. They are still getting paid. They don't understand the effects that everyone else is going through. They might say that they do, but I guarantee you they don't know what it's like to miss a meal. I guarantee you they don't know what it's like to look at their kids and wonder how they're going to pay for things for them. I guarantee you they are not living the lives that we are living as Americans, who are told that we are not essential workers, that we must stay home. This is our chance in time to end the tyranny and the bullshit we deal with these people. It is not enough that we just trust our friends to go out and vote and put the right people in office. It is time that we start getting real neighbors into office who understand this thing. Start looking at the people that are most affected by this as being your representative. Do not pick the just most groomed, greasiest politician to represent you. And if they are spineless, do not put them in office. If they will not stand for your rights, if they won't stand up and tell the governor you're wrong, if you've got a spineless coward who's still your friend, do not put them into office. We need to start putting real men into office, real Americans into office, and not these government lackeys who only give a shit about appeasing the feds to get federal money into the state. This is a problem, is we pretend that we govern the state, yet we're trying to appease feds to make sure that federal funding continues to come in here. We need to work on our self-sustainability as people, as well as our state.